Hello, and welcome to Willow, a student-produced podcast that brings together young minds to explore and discuss current events and topics that connect all of us.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Willow Waves. I'm Grant, a 5th grader here at Willow Springs Elementary School, and today we're digging into something really cool, fossils. I got to sit down with Mr. Scott Henricks, who spent his free time searching for ancient treasures buried in the earth. That's right, he's a fossil collector, but he doesn't just keep his discoveries to himself. He travels to schools and groups to teach people all about prehistoric life creatures to real dinosaur bones. Mr. Hendricks brings the past to life, and today he's sharing his stories with us. So grab your shovel, dust off your curiosity, and let's go exploring through time with Mr. Hendricks. What got you interested in collecting fossils?
I think I got interested in collecting fossils when I was a young boy. One of the first things, and this is all I remember from like being 3 or 4, was my mom bought me a bag of plastic dinosaurs. And that's what started. After I had this bag of dinosaurs, I wanted more dinosaurs, and we got more dinosaurs. And then I started reading about dinosaurs and finding out that they were fossils and all sorts of stuff.
It's cool. What's the coolest fossil you ever found?
So the coolest fossil I've ever found, I'm going to actually give you a couple of So down in North Carolina, there's a place to go fossil collecting in an active phosphate mine. It has all sorts of marine fossils. So I used to go down there for 1 week during the summer with 2 or 3 other guys and collect in the phosphate pit. And one of the trips down there, I found a set of Carcharodon megalodon teeth. So the big teeth.
Yeah.
These were full-size teeth. There were 6 of them, all in association with one another. I still have them, and they are in my display case at home. So that for, you look at it and you just see these beautiful, big old shark's teeth. So that's one of the better fossils I've found. But one of the rarest fossils I found was down on South Carolina beach, down near Edstow Island, and I found a ground sloth tooth. Ground sloths are mammoth, elephant-sized animals that came up from South America. They're not real common as far as fossils are concerned unless you go out to La Brea Tar Pit, California. But I found one of these teeth. At first I picked it up, I didn't know what it was because it doesn't look like a normal tooth. It looks like a tooth, but I couldn't tell what time. And I ended up doing some research online and finding out that it was a ground sloth from about 1 million years ago. So
How do you know where to look for fossils?
So a little bit of research. Most libraries will have books on geology. Some of them will actually have books on local fossil collecting. State of Virginia, Fairfax County Public Libraries have got several books on where to collect or where you can collect locally here in both Virginia and over in Maryland. So that's one of the ways is you just go to the library and find a book about it. Now that we have internet and everything's online, you can find even more stuff online as far as where to collect. One of the big challenges in Virginia is getting access to collect on. There aren't a lot of areas publicly available unless you go online. Some people will let you collect on their property if you ask them. Some of them will let you collect if you pay a fee. So basically it boils down to doing research both at the library and online. Some online forums, will help too. That was one big way I found out. And I actually ended up joining a fossil club when I first moved here. And that was another good way you actually get to talk to people who are collecting locally, so you don't have to drive all the way down to North Carolina or go all the way out to the west to fossils. So basically go out and find as much information as possible with all the resources.
Have you ever discovered a fossil that no one has seen before?
I have never found a fossil like that. I have found various rare ones that aren't very common. I lived in Louisville, Kentucky for about 2.5 years, and one of the places to go fossil collect over Indiana at a giant road cut. And there was a particular kind of, they're called blastoids, they're related to starfish there. That area that wasn't supposed to have any of these things, we ended up finding, me and the guy that I was hunting, we found about 6 or 7. They're about the size of a golf ball. They look a lot like cold. Oh, gracious, I can't. Blastoides gigantus. So not common, but we found a place that had them. Never really found anything that hasn't been seen before, but I have found some rare stuff.
What tools do you use when you go fossil hunting?
Kind of depends on where you're going to go. Here in Virginia, a lot of the fossil collecting, and in Maryland too, for that matter, is along. So for there, you don't need a rock hammer. Find with a little shovel and a screen, be that a chicken wire, to sift sand through a little square frame that you put it on. You go into Kentucky and Indiana, some of the Midwest states, you need what's called, it's a masonry hammer. It's a hammer with a bit on the back that's flat versus like a pick. It's not a pick, it's more of a spade. and that's very good because the rocks there are all layered and you can split them open that way. I have used hammers at times and chisels. There's some places down on, there's a place called Perce State Park over in Maryland where they have concretions, hard nodes of limestone, and if you break one of those open, sometimes you'll find something on the inside. So you have to have a fairly large toolkit, but you don't always take the whole toolkit with you.
How do you take care of fossils after you find them?
Okay, that's a good question. So if you watch on television, you see how they put paper mache jackets around the fossils they find to hold them together until you get them back to the lab where you can prepare them and take them, fine tools to get all the matrix off of them. I don't typically have to do that. I've collected some stuff down in South Carolina that was in a very, very soft limestone. The limestone's used to make cement, actually. And in that case, I would actually take toilet paper and you wrap toilet paper around it, all the way around it, all in different directions, and then you dab it with water, and it will shrink, form a slight crust, so that you have to drop the rock in order to damage it. Then you get back home, and it's easy to take the toilet paper off. I've never used the paper machine. As far as getting them out, getting the fossils out of the field, so you collected it, and you want to bring it back, usually just putting it into like a plastic bag is sufficient.
Do you work with museums or scientists to share your fossils?
I have worked with both. I was visiting the Smithsonian Institution on one particular instance when I first moved here, and they have the section out where you can see them doing fossil preparation. And knocked on the window, and the guys motioned me to come around the back, so I actually got to go in with them while they were preparing a fossil. At that time, I took down the guy's name and number and came back later on with some stuff that I didn't know what it was. I collected it here locally over in Maryland from what used to be a construction site. So he was able to sit down and help me identify some of the pieces. Because at that time, this was a Cretaceous marine formation. It's not exposed in very many places. Literally, we got it because the building that was being built actually cut down into a layer. So a lot of that stuff I brought back is small little bones from dinosaurs and mosasaurs and sharks. And there's some things called ratfish that were in there too, and I've never seen them before, so you don't identify.
Why is it important for people to learn about fossils?
Well, part of being in the modern day is to learn stuff from the past. Learning about fossils all the way from fairly recent, from 10,000 years all the way back to Cambrian period, shows how life has progressed through the ages, how it's evolved, how it's still even continuing to evolve now. Plus, they're a lot of fun. Collecting fossils is an awful lot of fun, and it's fun for people of all ages. It gets you outside into the environment. It gets you with other people who share a similar passion for fossil collecting. Getting to go to some place like the Museum of Natural History, the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History, and seeing the dinosaurs. We're seeing all of the fossils, not just the dinosaurs. It's very eye-opening. It tells a story of how old the Earth is and how much life there's been here before and how much life there could be. So you get to see how life started off very basic, one-celled animals and how it evolved into everything we have nowadays. So it gives you a sense of the Earth's and life's past, potentially the Earth's future as far as where it's going. And then, as I also said, I just find it very, very fun to go out and collect stuff from animals that aren't here anymore and haven't been, in some instances, haven't been around for a very, very long time. And then kind of think about when this shark's tooth was dropped over in Maryland 45 million years ago, what was it like in here? It wasn't what it is now because it's freshwater Potomac. So it kind of makes you think about the way that the Earth has been and how it's gone.
What advice would you give to kids who want to start their own fossil collection?
What advice would I? Well, first off, there are club resources locally. I say getting into a club is a good idea, and most clubs will take people of any age because, one, you're going to be with people who have various fossil collecting experiences that they can share. They have various levels of knowledge that they can share. If you really want to get in it, but you don't have access to a club, or there are online groups, chat sessions that you could get into that talk about it as well. Going to the library, as I already mentioned, that especially here in Virginia, there's a lot of resources at the library that can tell you where to go, how to collect. Oftentimes, especially in this area, it's just finding a beach. most of the Potomac, all the way up to Washington, D.C., the beaches go through various rock formations, even soil formations that date all the way back to Cretaceous period, starting at the fall line. Go all the way down to Westmoreland State Park, Virginia side, and Perth State Park over on the Maryland side. There definitely are opportunities. Maybe not quite the same as what I had. When I lived in Kentucky, I could literally walk out my back door and go fossil. Here you got to get a little bit of travel. That means you're going to have some grown-up assistance to get you, but you can at least go out and figure out where a good area could potentially, and then have mom and dad drive you there.
Have you ever found something by accident that turned out to be really important?
Oh, gracious. Have I ever found something? I've never made a tremendously wonderful, exciting discovery, at least not as far as, but I have found some very interesting stuff that was astonishing to me and my parents. We found ceratopsian bones up in Manitoba when we lived in North Dakota. It was in a parking lot. I found it literally in a parking lot. And then we visited the Dinosaur National Monument out in Utah and Colorado. And the first time I went there, didn't really discover anything. Second time I went there, I actually helped. You could actually get out on the rock formation with the scientists. And I did find something that they ended up taking out of the rock later. It wasn't any, there's so many bones there from so many different kinds of dinosaurs. But it was spectacular to me because I actually found it and watched as the scientists took it out of the rock. It was a piece of a hadrosaur.
This is Grant signing off.